Hello, BookTube, it's Ben here from the History Fellow channel. It's good to see you again. I know it's been like almost a week since I did my last video, but oh dear, July and August are just such hectic months, and either something's going wrong or I've got an event to attend or something like that. It's just, it seems non-stop during July and August. But anyway, I hope everybody's well, happy and healthy, and you're all having good times this summer. If you're on holiday, best of luck. With all the hassle with all the planes and companies going bust and queues for miles upon miles, and anyway, that's what it's like over here in the UK. But then as most of my viewers are in the US, it might be slightly different for you guys. Certainly over here in Brexit Britain, things are all piling up and going to pot, and just everything's getting awful as we're heading to another recession, which is just what you want. Anyway, enough about negative news. Let's try and get on to the positives and do some books. So for my weekly reads, what I've been reading in the past week is the first book, which is called The Real Gladiator, the true story of Maximus Decimus Meridius, written by Tony Sullivan and published by Pen and Sword Books, and it's priced at £20. A little book. It's only I think it's a couple of 100 pages long. Oh no, maybe not that. About 180 pages. But if you've seen the film, that's all fictional. But actually there was a general in the Roman army who became a gladiator, and his name was Maximus Decimus Meridius. And it's actually a really good book. If you kind of forget the film, in that, maybe that, the main person that the story is about might be slightly similar to the Russell Crowe character in the film, but other than that, the film's fiction, mainly all fictional. But he was a man who certainly was in the army and did fight as a gladiator, and this book tells his story. It's only 7 chapters long, but it's really good, really interesting. It goes on about fighting, all the warfare he took part in when he was in the army. Let me just get to the chapters. Yeah, you've got from Republic to Empire, the initial battle and historical context. Then you've got the Roman army, Marcus Aurelius, gladiators and games, Commodus and after Commodus. And that's neatly tucked into 7 neat chapters. But the book also contains lots of photos, battle plans, maps, pictures, photographs. It's a really good book. So I'd happily recommend this if you're into Roman history. You'll quite enjoy that. And it's just unusual to read a book about a one specific soldier or military man. It's a really good read. So that's The Real Gladiator, the true story of Maximus Decimus Meridius. Now then, the second book I've been reading this week is, I'm going to stick it out there at the beginning, this is a fantastic book and could possibly be one of my top books of the year already. And it's called London, a 14th century city and its people, written by Catherine Warner, which is a fantastic book. I've read a few of Catherine Warner's books before and they're really good, really informative and detailed. But the good thing about this book is it's mainly about the people who lived in London at the time, and kind of ignores the royal family type stuff and the kings and queens dramas, which when you read history books, that tend to be the main thread or the main subject throughout a book. But this is a really good social book, or social history, should I say. It's £20 and published by Pen and Sword Books. And the main thing about it is, whereas you might read a history book and it'll go chronologically in order, this book doesn't. I mean, there is kind of an order to it, but what it does is it follows by subject matter rather than dates, decades or years. For example, you've got a glossary which tells you all about the speech at the time, some of the words that they were using, what things meant, that sort of thing. But it also does, it's got separate chapters on things like health, foreigners, wards, curfews, sanitation, privies, houses, mansions, gardens, roads, drunkenness, misadventure, murder, theft, assault. These are all separate chapters. And each chapter, obviously, it kind of quickly spans a particular decade that stands out in that century, or some of them kind of cover most of the century. But you've also got disturbance, punishment, defence, fire, children, women, families, names, belongings, weather, mayors, sheriffs, mysteries, religion, apprentices, towers, bridges, rivers, and pestilence. It's quite a thorough book, like I said. It's a couple of hundred pages long, but there's no pictures in it. It's all text. Well, obviously there might be the odd like photo in the middle of the book, which is standard. But it's a thoroughly good book, very entertaining, very informative, and a really good read. I've kind of learnt so much from it, but it's kind of like I've learnt lots of information. It's all gone into my head, but then because there's so much information, I'm going to read it again and then hopefully try and remember more of the information. But it's a really good book, and I'd like to see more books like this where it's done on the subject rather than chronologically. And I know kind of things in this country are everything's written about London rather than other towns or cities. But it's a really good social history, and I can't fault it at all. I'd like to see more books, maybe covering different centuries. So, maybe the 12th or 13th or the 15th and 16th century, when more stuff's starting to happen. That's London, a 14th century city and its people, written by Catherine Warner, published by Pen and Sword Books, priced at £20. A really good book. I like the artwork too on the front. You've got that one there of one of the London bridges. That one down below, which is more in the suburbs. And then plus on the back you've got this drawing as well. But there you go, I've read those this week, 2 really, really good books, so it's been a good week of reading. Right, what books am I going to read this week? Right, as it's been my birthday, or it was on the 24th, now my mum, every year, my mum sends me some money, usually about £30, because she never knows what to buy me. So I usually say to her, send me an Amazon gift voucher, so I can then pick and choose the books that I want or I would like to read. So that's what she's done this year. She sent me another 30 quid. So I've been and ordered some books. The first 2 that I'm going to mention are on Kindle. These 2 were 99p each. You should see an image pop up of the book in this video. So the first one is The Presidents, which is written by Ian Dale, and what it is a collection. Each chapter represents or talks about each president in America, each American president, from obviously the beginning to now with Joe Biden. Oh, he's so exciting, I almost forgot his name then. But what he does is he gets a chapter or an expert or a scholar to talk about each president, and then they get a chapter each. And he also does a podcast as well. You can follow him on a podcast. It's called The Presidents and the Prime Ministers, because he's also produced another book, the same type of thing, where he looked at each prime minister through British history and got an expert to write about them. So you can hear that, because he does he's turned it into a podcast as well. So that's the Presidents and Prime Ministers by Ian Dale, and you can find that on most podcast type stations. You should be able to find that in the history department, and feel free to listen to them all. Most of them are quite good. Ian Dale, you should know, is a right-wing Tory supporter in this country, so take some of his comments with a bit of a pinch of salt. He's a born-again Thatcherite sort of thing, but let's not hold that against him. We all have our problems. Anyway, the other book that should pop up here in the images is the book called The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper, written by Hallie Rubenhold. Now, I've been meaning to read this book because it came out a couple of years ago. I've been meaning to read it because everyone says it's how good it is. And it looks at the 5 women, or is it the 5 Jack the Ripper victims. So I've got that on Kindle, so I'm going to start reading that this week and hopefully enjoy that. The next 2 books, which I will start, the President's book I can dip in and out of and read a chapter here and a chapter there, so that's fine with that one. But the next book I've ordered is an actual book, but Amazon, who I ordered it from, are getting the Royal Mail to deliver it. They were supposed to deliver it yesterday, but of course the Royal Mail over here in the UK is shit, and it hasn't turned up yet. So I was hoping to show you the actual book copies tonight. But the next book I've ordered is When the Lights Went Out, Britain in the 70s. And that's written by Andy Beckett, which is about, well, like the title says, Britain in the 1970s. I'm really quite into almost modern day history. I was born in the 70s, but I also quite like the 60s and 80s as well. So it's generally a book about life in Britain in the 1970s, which was full of recession again and strikes and various things to do with fashion and popular culture, and it's a good mix, and I kind of quite like that. And the final book that I've ordered is called sorry, I've got all my titles written down here, so that's why I keep looking down. It's called Traitor to His Class: The Privileged Life and Radical Presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's written by H.W. Brands. I quite like reading about American presidents. So what I've just decided to do is to start collecting various books on some of the presidents, just to give me more of a knowledge of American history and how the presidential races and presidencies kind of affect and influence America. So that should be a nice big chunky book to read. But anyway, this week I'll probably start off with the Presidents by Ian Dale and The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. Anyway, other than that, that's my weekly reads. Let me know if you've read any of the books, what you thought of them, especially the The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. I've heard it's a really good book to read, so if you've read it, then feel free to let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. And as it's sunny, warm, and everyone's having a good time because it's summer and everyone's going on holiday, feel free to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next. I might actually do another video for tomorrow as well, and maybe Monday, Tuesday as well. So I shall see you soon for another video. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe and happy, and I shall see you next time. So thank you very much and goodbye.